welcome to have. Wait, what's happening? Sorry. Um, we're so glad to have each of you here with us in worship today. Um, my name is Kip. I'm associate pastor. He, him are my pronouns. As we gather ourselves in the space, again, just a reminder that when we get to our opening sentences, we'll have two folks. We'll need two folks to offer to read those for us, and we will get to those momentarily. First, I invite you to take a good deep breath, to notice where you are, to feel yourself rooted in the space, connected to the earth, connected to the people who stewarded the earth before you. Wherever we are worshiping from, those of us in this nation, we are an international gathering this morning with Linda joining us from South Africa, and I don't know who else might be where, but those of us who are in this country, on this soil, are not the original tenders of the land. In Philadelphia region, we are in the Lenape-Hocking territory. So we honor and name the Lenni Lenape people who were the stewards of this land, and we commit ourselves to caring for this place. Again, welcome. At this moment, we will enjoy our prelude that Kyoko has sent in for us. Thank you for that, Kyoko. And at this time, Linda will lead us in our opening song.
Good morning. I'm Linda Noonan. My pronouns are she and her. I'm very excited this morning because I found some Lenape words set to the tune of Amazing Grace, and will invite us to try those. We are, if you have been worshiping with us over the years, you may know that almost always sing Amazing Grace, as it is offered to us in our United Methodist hymnal, along with several other First Nations languages, but Lenape is not one of them. And so this morning I invite us to try this. The translation of these words, we're just going to do one verse, but the translation in English is, "Thank you, our Creator, that we have lived this long. Thank you for watching over us so that we can see each other. It's a good feeling because we have lived this long. Take pity on us so that we can see each other. You be with us when we want to pray, so you would help us when we want to sing. We would like to hear good words so that we can live a good life because of what you did." So I'll invite us to sing, to try this. We'll maybe begin using it more frequently in worship until it's more comfortable. I'll invite us to sing this through twice this morning. Wanishiki I'll do it again. Wanishiki Telamien Telipeta Sine Wanishike Nakinen Teiteyo Inen. Let's just do it one more time. Wanishiki Telamien Telipeta Sine Wanishike Nakinen Teineyo Tinen.
I do believe I heard some harmonization. So either there's someone else there in the room or you've learned some miraculous new skill, Linda.
I wish I could say it was the latter, and I'm very happy it's the former. I do actually have a melody, a harmony partner here. Sonia's going to be singing with me. We'll hear a little bit more from her in the next song. So I'm so happy to not be singing alone and to be singing with my beautiful daughter.
Thank you. So next is our opening sentences. I wonder if there are two folks who would like to help read these for us. You can raise your digital hand. Might be easier to see if you. Okay, I see Ruth. Ruth, I'll have you read the leader role, and we'll invite you to unmute yourself. And is there a second person who would read the people role? Laura, I see Laura. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Nyla, I missed you. We'll get you another week, Nyla. So go ahead, Ruth and Laura.
Our God, who are in pluriverses, the skies and the earth.
Blessed be your name, life.
May your pulsing life come to be seen, heard, touched, and felt through the oceans, the forests, in the rocks, and in the life of plants, and in the sounds of animals and singing birds.
May the atmosphere of the sky that carries our ability to breathe continue balanced as fossil presences are kept under the earth.
Give us this day our daily bread, through a variety of seeds and grains and leaves without pesticides, without monocultures, from local farms and agro-biodiverse cultures.
Forgive our blundering of the earth, our total lack of relation and reciprocity with the earth and more than human beings.
As cells, mycelium, fungi, and infinite processes of symbiosis, forgive us daily by giving life back when we destroy it.
And lead us not into consumerism and the devourism of the earth, but deliver us from the apathy that says nothing can be changed.
For life is kinship, relationality, and reciprocity.
For life is kinship, relationality, and reciprocity, now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. Some announcements to bring to your attention this morning. First, thank you as always to the folks who helped to make Sunday worship happen. Thank you this week to Michelle Williams for taking the lead on tech. And we give thanks to Terry Roberts and Heidi Fabian for serving as our greeters and letting folks into the room. Advent is coming. It actually starts next Sunday, which is hard to believe. That is here already. But we would love some volunteers, need some volunteers even, to help put together and deliver Advent bags to folks as we did last year. There's a brief planning call today on Zoom at 2 p.m. And the link is there, and maybe someone can put it in the chat as well. Thank you, Linda. If you're not able to join that, but you're willing to help assemble and or deliver some of the bags, you can also reach out to Terry, and her email is there in the announcement as well. If you're feeling particularly thankful in this season, as we have the Thanksgiving holiday this Thursday, we invite you to make a special Thanksgiving offering to the church. If you want to do that online, you can use the regular online giving link and just choose Thanksgiving offering from the drop-down menu. We'll put that up when we get to the offering again. Way overdue Wednesdays are happening now. Power Interfaith is in Harrisburg on Wednesdays to encourage the legislature to engage in public prayer and action to call for an end to racial profiling of our schools and students in terms of how educational funding gets distributed, calling for the full application of a fair funding formula. On Wednesday, December 1st, there was a good group there this past Wednesday. On Wednesday, the 1st of December, specifically Power folks from Philly are invited to go and take charge in that action, which will happen at 1:30 in the afternoon. So if you're willing, if you are interested in coming to support this and be part of it, you can send me an email and we'll make sure that you get connected to transportation details, etc. We can carpool. The Sci-Fi Book Club is coming up. That is not this week, but next week, next Tuesday, November 30th. The Sci-Fi Book Club will be gathering to discuss Nikki Drayden's book, The Prey of Gods. So you've still got a little time to pick that up and read it, or just know that you'll sit in on some interesting conversation on Tuesday the 30th at 7 p.m. Couple other short ones. Our Rainbow Connection group, our LGBTQ plus community group, is on hiatus until January. They will reconvene then. If you've got questions or comments for Church Council, you can reach out to our co-chairs, Michelle Williams and Eli Vandenberg, at churchcouncil@chestnuthillunited.org. And if you have prayer requests you'd like to make sure pastors get, you can email us at prayers@chestnuthillunited.org. And that's all of the announcements that we've got. Are there any others that folks need for us to hear this morning? Okay, then at this point, I wonder if, that may just be an extra cover image. There we go. Our children, if there are kids here, I invite you to raise your hand, the digital hand, so that we can see you up at the top of our screen and have a little conversation with you. Are there kids here who would raise their digital hands? I see Eli and Maisie. Good morning. It's so good to see you all. How are you all doing this morning? And we just have to change the settings so folks can unmute themselves now too.
Again, this morning.
Good to see you both. Do we have any? Are there any other kids here that that we could highlight and say hello to? No, there might be others just hanging around in the background. We'll see. Well, I've got you two here, so I wanna ask you if there's anything that's been going on that you'd like to tell us about, or anything you're looking forward to, or anything you're feeling a little anxious. No, not really. Okay.
What? I'm going to a recording of concert soon. I'm going to be in an orchestra.
You're going to be in an orchestra?
I'm playing.
You're playing in the orchestra. That's fantastic. Um,
I had my first rehearsal last Thursday, and then on the 3rd I have my next rehearsal, and then December 3rd I'm having the next rehearsal, and then the 7th, and then on the 7th is the actual recording.
Okay, so it's being recorded. You got some rehearsals coming up still, and it's being recorded. And what are you playing in it?
Cello.
Cello. Okay, that's not at all what I was expecting, because I know you've had piano lessons and I've heard you've done really well at those. So, wow, this is so cool. And it actually lends itself to the question that I wanted to ask. And Michelle, I hope it's okay that I'm talking about this. I was going to ask the question of, is there anything you've done that's been really, that you've challenged yourself to do, that felt like a challenge? Because what we learned this weekend is one of the other young people, he's a little older than you all, but Palmer Williams yesterday ran the Philadelphia half marathon. So he was out with people and ran all 13.1 miles of it with all of those folks. And I thought, oh, that's so cool that we've got young people in our church who are challenging themselves to do really hard things and finding out that they can do them. So I was going to ask if there was anything you thought of like that. And Eli, I don't know if playing in an orchestra, playing cello for a recording feels like a challenge. It sounds like a challenge to me. How are you feeling about it?
Really not. What? Hold on, you're lagging.
Oh, it froze a little bit. I missed what you said.
It's really not a challenge.
It's not a challenge. You've just got a lot of natural talent. Huh?
Yeah.
But I bet you're practicing. Are you practicing?
Yep.
Good. Maisie, how about you? Is there anything that you'd like to tell us about? No, not really. Okay. Well, I'm so glad you both are here. Eli, I'm so glad that you're playing in that. And I hope that I'll get to listen to the recording. Thank you both for being with us. And
Never mind.
Eli, you and I are having a little sidebar conversation. Are you ready to do what you just offered to me now, or do you need a little more time?
Another week. We gotta get it set up.
Oh, I can do it. Eli, okay. Next week. Sorry.
Do you want to get it set up and then we can do it late before the end of church?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, then let's do it. Let's do what you and I said we were going to do secretly on the side during the prayer time. Okay?
Got it.
All right, cool. Awesome. Super excited. Thank you. Oh, wow. I love church and all the things that emerge. Very exciting. So stay tuned. Don't go away. You don't want to miss the prayer time.
Linda, I believe it's over to you now.
Thanks, Kip. Thanks so much. Our first reading this morning are a set of powerful words by a friend of our congregation and someone who is in our neighborhood and somebody who has been just an incredible prophet and leader and voice, and that is Rabbi Arthur Waskow. These words come from Rabbi Arthur, and they are entitled Between the Fires. We are the generation that stands between the fires. Behind us, the flame and smoke that rose from Auschwitz and from Hiroshima, and from the burning of the Amazon forest. Before us, the nightmare of a flood of fire, the flame of smoke that could consume all earth. It is our task to make from fire not an all-consuming blaze, but the light in which we see each other fully, all of us different, all of us bearing one spark. We light these fires to see more clearly that the earth and all who live as part of it are not for burning. We light these fires to see more clearly the rainbow in our many colored faces. Blessed is the one within the many. Blessed are the many who make one. Our scripture reading this morning is a small section of Psalm 93, and I will be using the original language and pronouns as they're found in the New Revised Standard Version. The Lord is King, he is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed, he is girded with strength. He has established the world, it shall never be moved. Your throne is established from of old. You are from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their voice, the floods lift up their roaring. More majestic than the thunders of mighty waters, more majestic than the waves of the sea, majestic on high is the Lord. Your decrees are very sure. Holiness benefits your house, O Lord, forevermore. My question for you this morning is, have you ever felt like a misfit? Has there ever been a time in your life when you felt you didn't belong, or you did or understood things in ways that didn't make sense to someone around you? Or that your body didn't fit in or move in the world in a way that was affirmed by others? Have you ever felt like a misfit? For those of us who have had few experiences of feeling like a misfit, it's likely a reflection of our privilege and access and a reminder that the world that we live in was designed and built for some of us and not all of us, because some of us have felt like a misfit at almost every turn. Today, I want to celebrate misfits, and I want to invite us all to take on that mantle and claim and embrace what it might mean to be a spiritual misfit. Someone who believes, someone who tells inconvenient truths, someone who dances while things around us burn, who grieves even when grieving makes others uncomfortable, who hopes when the news gives us little reason to hope, who builds relationships even when it's hard work. I want to invite us to an unspinning and respinning, to a time of mourning, and also to a time of celebration. This Sunday on the Christian calendar is known as Christ the King Sunday. Christ the King Sunday, or the Reign of Christ Sunday, is the Sunday before Advent begins, which is next Sunday. It's hard to imagine how that happened so quickly. It's not something that God commanded or Jesus said we should observe. Things make their way into the liturgical Christian calendar in a variety of ways. Christ the King Sunday was instituted by Pope Pius XI and has since been adopted by various Protestant denominations. As the Sunday before Advent, it's a feast day where we look forward to the reign of Christ. Throughout history, the concept of the reign of Christ has been used to dominate and exploit those deemed as enemies of Christ. But the Pope's motivation for instituting this feast day was to encourage people to prioritize the justice of Christ's kingship over and against the injustice of earthly kings in the face of growing fascism at that time in Italy and Germany. But this distinction of Christ as the only king still doesn't go far enough. Christ doesn't rule over others in a way that a king does. So king is entirely the wrong category for Christ and the wrong category for the divine in general. I can understand the appeal of replacing Caesar or some other pharaoh or oppressive ruler with the notion of a kingly God or a princely Jesus. And the desire to want to be a subject of that heavenly kingdom rather than an earthly kingdom is appealing. But the monarchical language itself is also problematic. And while there's so many images for God in the Bible, some really wild and wonderful, king language, like the language we got in our psalm, is really common. The notion of God's chosen ones has been misused to give biblical justification for things like chattel slavery, colonization of lands and people, and control of bodies. Bob Dylan captures this in his song, With God on Our Side. And the writer Anne Lamott nails it when she says, when we discover that God hates the same people we do, then we know that we have created God in our own image. Sometimes we do just want a benevolent ruler, one who rules wisely and justly, who understands what it means to serve the people, not exploit them, one who listens to the people and not the polluters. And I'll be honest, sometimes I want a God who will smite the wicked. I actually think that we just don't use the word smite often enough these days. But God is not the same as a president or king who can make executive orders, create and enforce policies. God, as far as I can tell, is the web that holds us, the power in relation, the creative force behind all that is, the one who accompanies and carries and weeps and dances with us when we weep and dance. Maybe God is the royal weeper or the mad dancer or the queen of the misfits. And Jesus? A subversive, feared by the government, executed by the establishment, a ragtag prophet and teacher and healer, the misfit of all misfits. So I hereby dub today not Christ the King Sunday, but Christ the Misfit Sunday. If we saw God as a God of the misfits and Jesus as misfit of all misfits, how would that change the way we see one another? Our sense of the holiness of all kinds of bodies and minds and spirits. Yesterday was Trans Day of Remembrance, a time to memorialize those who have been killed as a result of transphobia and hatred. It's intended to draw attention to the continued vulnerability of trans folk. It shouldn't be the only time or the only way that we raise up trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming siblings, though, and we don't want to simply remember those beloved only after they've died, but also celebrate and honor all our trans kin who are out there striving, surviving, thriving, struggling, creating, and sharing their gifts with the world. But today we do remember those we have lost in the last year who have been so often misnamed, misgendered, those that the world has called misfits, but who embody the divine in miraculous and marvelous ways. We will call their names this morning in this space. It's a powerful thing, especially when so many people struggle to have their true names used and their truest selves seen and acknowledged and affirmed in the world. May we use our voices in this small virtual corner to affirm those names and celebrate those lives. I also invite you to consider moving as these names are called. Feel free to turn off your video. Pray these names with your body if that feels right or feels like something you could try, giving thanks for their brave, sacred, and fabulous lives. As you move, whether you're seated or standing, may your activated body commit to protecting spaces, using people's correct names and pronouns, and promise with your body and heart to be part of building a world that's safe for our trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming kin. May our voices and our movements be our prayer and our promise. And at this time, I will invite us to take in these faces and these names. Hear them, hold them, pray them with your voice, with your body. Rayana Pardo, Jada Peterson, Dominique Lucius, Remy Fennell, Tiara Banks, Natalia Smart, Iris Santos, Tiffany Thomas, Carrie, Washington. Jahira de Alto. Whispering Wind, Bear Spirit. Sophie Vesquez. Danica Denny Henson. Serenity Hollis. Oliver Ollie Taylor. Thomas Harden. Poe Black. E.J. Borkin. Adeline Evans. Taya Ashton. Shai Vanderpump. Tierra Marie Lewis. Miss Coco. Prue Johnson. Josiah Monet. Brianna Hamilton. Pierre Laprie Cartier. Mel Grove. Royal Poetical Stars. Zoella Zoe Rose Martinez. Joe Acker. Jesse Hart. Ricky Otumoro. Marquisa Lawrence. Jenny DeLeon. Angel Mayer. Holy One, you know all our names, our true names, sometimes even before we ourselves know them. Receive these beloved, grant them your peace, and raise them up with all the saints of light. May they rest in peace and power and rise in us. Today, we stand between the Trans Day of Remembrance and that moment in American colonial history that we call Thanksgiving. Many of us are also reeling after Friday's verdict to acquit a 17-year-old white boy who showed up in Kenosha, Wisconsin to incite violence and then used the danger he created to justify shooting people on the street. Cole Arthur Riley, author of Black Liturgies, writes that even if you're not shocked at that verdict, don't let that trick you into thinking that your soul doesn't still need care and rest in the wake of this. Every injustice falls heavily on the body. It's okay to say it hurts, and it's okay to stop and rest so you can actually sense where and how it hurts. It's a time for mourning. Many have shifted Thanksgiving to be a national day of mourning, even as we recognize that it's still an occasion for many to connect with family and chosen ones, particularly after long periods of absence and distance. But it's also a time for mourning. We name the generational and planetary damage done from the genocide of entire nations of indigenous peoples when Europeans moved onto these shores. We unspin the narratives that so many of us received about the original Thanksgiving feast. We tell the truth. We recognize the complicated fabric of so many people fleeing oppression in their own European territories, seeking a new way of life, but finding themselves willingly and unwillingly woven into a system that would become a uniquely American form of white Christian supremacy. The stuff that would result in the genocide of one people and the enslavement of another, all in the name of Christ the King and God the King of Kings. I, about 2 weeks ago, had lunch with Adam DePaul. Adam is the story keeper for the Lenape Nation of Pennsylvania. I'm hoping that we'll be able to have him speak with us sometime soon in the new year. Some of us were in a power meeting with the climate justice and jobs team when Adam spoke. He said then and reiterated when I was with him that what he and his nation hopes for from communities like our church is not a return of the land, but commitments to steward the earth wherever we find ourselves. If you are gathering with others for Thanksgiving, maybe this year you could offer to begin the meal with a land acknowledgement, just like we do in worship. Maybe the table talk could include a question about how we might take on one new practice of caring for the land where we live, or one way we might be more attentive to the food we eat, who grows it and how. Maybe you could do a little research before the meal and share about 1 or 2 native plants that grow in the area where you will be eating and how those plants have been used for medicinal or other purposes. I'll try and send an all-church email tomorrow or the next day with ways to offer a land acknowledgement and some information about a plant or two. Asking our family or friends to indulge us in offering a land acknowledgement over the dinner table or asking questions that are not standard Thanksgiving table fare might make us feel a little bit like a misfit. It might mean breaking with protocol. It takes courage. Maybe Uncle Joe will roll his eyes or someone will feel defensive or make that overly loud sigh of, there she goes again. Many of us, myself included, have been trained to do whatever we can to keep others from feeling uncomfortable. It's hard to think about doing something that might make people squirm just a little, but I challenge us all to be the misfit, with Christ, the misfit of misfits, going before us. This is the time for misfits, the earth lovers, the earth tenders, the holy trans and queer ones, the children and child tenders, those ready to build something new, those standing between the fires, ready to light the way, those who create, who struggle, who believe, those who embrace their bodies and all their imperfections and honor the bodies of others, those who dare to hope and commit to learn. This is the time for misfits. Jennifer Bailey, the founder and executive director of Faith Matters Network, has written a beautiful book called To My Beloved, Letters on Faith, Grace, Loss, and Radical Hope. And in it, she writes the following. I'm writing this letter to you, my fellow spiritual misfits, so that you know in no uncertain terms that you're not alone in your quest for understanding your place in the world as it is evolving. At times, it may feel that the earth is literally moving under your feet as you attempt to step in one direction or the other. That's because it is. All around us, things are shifting, systems are collapsing, and institutions are failing. This should not surprise us. Around the world, elders across cultures and peoples were predicting this time would come. It's a time in which Mother Earth and Father Sky are pushing us into a divine reckoning about what it means to be in right relationship with one another and all sentient beings in the 21st century and beyond. It's clear to me that the actions we take now will have deep and irreversible consequences for generations to come. The good news is that this is the time made for mistakes. as we mourn bodies lost, mourn the damage done to this planetary body that holds us all, may we also celebrate the joy of being in this world, the joy of being holy and beautiful bodies surrounded by other holy and beautiful bodies. And so, as our closing prayer, we will end with John Baptiste and the song Freedom. I invite you again and urge you to try this if this is a little new to you, to get up and move your body in some way and dance this powerful prayer.
Well, this and all those smooth moves that some of you were making and the ways that this was throbbing through our bodies is God's good news. Amen.
Amen. And this is the time when we bring the stuff of our lives together and hold them together in prayer, as in the world, for the ways we are church with each other. There's so many ways that we can offer ourselves to the life of this congregation. Our membership vow is for prayers, presence, gifts, and service. So we celebrate and encourage you into all of those ways. If you want to make a financial gift, there is the online link that you can find. You can again use that same link for an additional Thanksgiving offering if you're feeling particularly grateful in the season. Just change the drop-down line to the Thanksgiving offering. You can also give by text or of course mail your checks or have your bank mail them to the church. If you give online, feel free to put that in the chat if you want to lift that up and celebrate it. And I'd ask Linda now to lead us in our closing song.
Thanks, Kip. This closing song is called Lead with Love. It's by Melanie DeMore. We'll sing the chorus, and then when it comes to the verses, it's call and response. So I'll sing a line, and you can sing the line back from wherever you are, and then we'll sing the chorus together again. So we'll alternate between those two. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Amen. So go from this place with your fear, with your courage, with your excitement, with your fancy outfits to move your body just like that, to feel freedom, following the misfit of misfits. Just go out and put one foot in front of the other. lead with love, and go in peace. Amen. And now we welcome